Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Yes, we've got more transfer news for you guys to hear. Hijack Hlozek is what we're going to call it. Sam, we've heard from Fabrizio, as we can see on this tweet right now, that Hoffenheim are trying to hijack Adam Hlozek's deal to Leicester City. Negotiations are at final stages with us, but Hoffenheim are trying to enter the race at the last minute. What is your take on this, Sam? Because this, again, is taking a very long time.
It's just slow from the club. You know, they're taking a long time to announce some of these players. And we've, over the past week, known Hijack has been agreed a loan deal with obligation to buy at the end of the season if we stay up, I believe. And it's just completely, out the window. Like that we're getting hijacked. It's just, for me, it's ridiculous. I don't even know what to say on it. I don't know how they can hijack him. I don't know how the club can take this long. It's been like a week of we knew he was going to sign, and now it's just, another club's interested, and it's kind of like, well, if he goes, and if he goes, it just shows bad from the club, bad club. That's what it is.
Again, since the Lens game, we've been linked with quite a few players in the attacking positions. Again, Hlozek, the Greek guy from Panathinaikos, and obviously Zaha, which we've obviously on the show as well said that the deal is off now. Yeah. Basically, his tax issue in the UK has got to the point where you have to spend around £20 million, I think, to get him into the club either way, even if it's a loan or a permanent buy. Which, again, if it's permanent, I would say is worth £20 million. But
the club aren't going to want to spend.
No,
I think the loan option and it being around £7 million was more preferable to the club. They don't want to buy him. They don't want to spend 20 million. I mean, let's get some comments up, Reedy, and see what some of the fans are saying.
So Ben Morgan here says Rugking dragging his heels and effing it up again. We've heard people saying that again today. Ben Wisely says, clueless clowns running the club to the ground, breaking Derby's lowest scoring record. This squad is have to have right now simply dreadful. Our squad isn't amazing.
You can see in the transfer market, and obviously a lot of these are just rumours. Yeah, Hoffenheim. A lot of these are rumours, but they come out from reliable sources that we report, and it just shows you how embarrassing it is. We've heard stuff from the club and that, like Rudkin and Whelan falling out with each other. They're not in talking mode. Top wants to sell. The club's in a mess, really. We've come up to the Premier League with no plan. We sold Dewsbury all a month ago, and we haven't really replaced him. Let's be honest.
No,
we're in a mess. The club is in a mess.
Yeah, as the tweet says here, we are at the final stages with the player. Again, for me, can I see it going through? I honestly can, because of how close we were. We've been close for the last couple of weeks now. Couple of days now. And once we kind of hear things getting to the final stages, it normally does happen. Am I a bit afraid that a club like Hoffenheim, who are in the Bundesliga, are I wouldn't say they're one of the best teams, but again, they're not close to relegation. They're not gonna have an issue where.
I think we're in a position we should get this whole check over the line.
Yes,
there's no reason we shouldn't. But again, I could see why. I can see why he'd want to go to Hoffenheim. He's already in Germany, so it's not like he has to move that far away. He might consider, like you say, Hoffenheim to be in a better position than us. Obviously, if he does well in the Premier League, he's got more to prove and he's got more to show that way. So I do think he will still end up coming to Leicester. But again, it's just embarrassing by the club that they've let it go on for so long, where another club is interested in getting him in.
Yeah, exactly that. Any more on Zaha, do you reckon?
I say Zaha deal dead. Obviously, that was one of those ones that was rumoured, reported, and again, not just us. Apparently, Palace as well. He wanted to go to Palace, and then he wanted to go to Leicester as well. But both clubs rejected his loan offer because of this massive tax that the club would have to pay on him for something to do with one of his other companies that would have to. Returning back to England would mess up a lot of the tax. God knows what it is, but by the sounds of it, it's going to be around a 20 million fee, and the club doesn't want to pay that. And I don't blame them, to be honest, on that front. But it does show you that they're putting all their eggs in one basket. We're not really moving on quick enough. We're 4 days away, really. And we said this time last week we need to bring in some signings. So this time 2 weeks we need to bring in some signings, and we haven't. We just haven't.
No.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is quite embarrassing, to be honest. As you can see on the screen here, that is the guy that we are hopefully going to get instead of being hijacked. But like I said, I'm not confident as it stands. But with how much we've heard from him and what the deal is at the moment, obligation to buy if we stay up in the Premier League, which again is a big ask to have if we do stay up. But for £20 million, do you say that's a good deal if he did stay up and he did do well for us? I think you mentioned as well, if we do have him and we did stay up, but he played quite badly, you'd think,
We're stuck with him.
Yeah, you're stuck with him.
Clearly, someone down the line rates him where we can sign him for 20 million if we stay up. Does it show the club's ambition that then maybe they don't think we're going to stay? It depends. It's a weird situation. If we stay up and he plays well, then great. If we stay up and he doesn't do well, then it's a bit like, well, that's a waste of £20 million. But we're in a position where we're probably like 80%
We can't
get relegated and 20% not.
I think we're kind of banging on the hopes of that £20 million being enough to be like, if you do well, you keep us up in by scoring the goals or getting the assists and whatnot, then you're worth the £20 million to keep us up. If you know what I mean, it's worth spending £20 million if we're staying up, then getting relegated and we kind of, I don't know.
Just pull up Ivan Gibbs, not his latest comment, the one about Cooper, one above that one. Yeah, so this one I agree a lot with Ivan on. Stick together, stick with Cooper. It's not his fault. I agree. I said that earlier in one of our private football chats we have. I think, we've got Cooper. I don't blame him. He is the manager. I blame the board solely for everything that's gone wrong. I blame the board for not sacking Rodgers soon enough. I blame the board for being slow to finding Rodgers' replacement. I blame them for getting us relegated. I blame them for having a points deduction. I blame them again for being in this sticky situation right now.
We should have had all these transfers sorted within the first month or two. Again, now we are literally 4 days away from the league starting. For us anyway.
And I think Locke said in the chat that whoever we sign now, because
they can't play
them because of time constraints and I assume some sort of legal reasons. We don't have enough time to play these players. So
I saw this rumour as well. Dean Sanders here says Bournemouth spent £40 million on a forward. Well, first of all, I don't know how much Solanke went to Spurs for.
I think it's around 60 million.
But that alone basically asked them to pay for another striker for
and
enough
they're an
money.
Established Premier League club.
They are, yes.
As much as fans might not like it, we're not an established Premier League club anymore.
We're not going to go and fork out 40 million.
If we were established, we would have been in the top 8 consistently and not got relegated.
We're not going to spend 50 million pounds on a striker from another league that's banging in the goals.
We've had 50 million pounds to spend, which again, I'm getting a bit annoyed at this situation. If we had 50 million pounds spent plus selling Dewsbury Hall, that's around 80 million. Where's that money? We've not spent it. We spent a fraction of that.
From what we've seen, the only money we were going to spend was 25 to 30 million pounds on this Sula guy.
But now, if we're going to sign for 30 million, where's that money? If we were willing to put 30 million, we had put 30 million
on the table,
and he rejected us. Why are we not going after someone else? That was like 3 weeks ago now.
That was from being given £30 million to a midfielder who probably would have done well for us, to now about having a player on loan, same nationality. Yes, probably more Premier League experience because he has been in the Premier League, but he's only 19. And now we're kind of dealing with having people on loan instead of paying out money to buy someone.
Terence comment, I think that one word is what we're all feeling, stressed. But really, I'm not hopeful for Spurs. I think I'll come away saying if we lose 3-0, I'll be like, okay, at least it wasn't 4-5-6 now. I think
in my eyes, as of now, again, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to say we're going to get slapped. But I honestly think there's a chance we can get a decent result out of it, as in a draw maximum in my eyes. If we win, wow, that is somehow impressive.
I think when we had Zaha on the lines and Hlozek, who hopefully still comes, but when we had those two coming in with a bit more about them, we're moving, I would have been like, yeah, why can't we go and draw to Spurs? But now Zaha gone, and if Hlozek doesn't come in, honestly, just relegate us now.
But do you feel like
it's just pathetic? The transfer window ends at the end of September. So we've got, is it end of September or end of August? End of August,
yeah.
So we don't have long. We have another 16 days to sign these players, and we're not going to do it because we just don't. That's how Leicester work.
Well, we seen from the transfer window, we seen that we were buying quite a lot of players, like quite quick succession. The moment we got Fatu over the line, which was again should have been the first one we saw because we knew it was going to happen. Since then, we've heard basically nothing, and we've not signed anyone other than. Have we even signed another player since Fatu? Oh yeah, Buonanotte, but again on loan. You can't keep him after this season, so he isn't. I wouldn't call him an actual full-on signing, but again, it's not great, is it? Terence here says, "Don't panic. Got Palace player coming in, 23 goals over 200."
That
No, that's AU.
Oh,
I think it is anyway. I think it is. Yeah.
I think IU would have been a decent to play.
We were supposed to be supporters, not assassins.
I mean,
it's just our honest thoughts. We are only putting our honest thoughts out there. You can have different opinions to us. That's what Leicester Fan TV is all about.
I think the majority of fans are agreeing that we are not being run well, and I think it's fair comments to make. Obviously, we're run by fans, for fans, so
we're supporting LCFC, not the board.
I think this video is more about showing the lack of communication and the lack of direction by the club. If you think, Callum, that the club's got good direction, then by all means say that. I don't think I think a majority of people are going to agree that since Vichai passed away, the club has not been run as well as it could have. You know, I think you can see that since the players that have gone from Vichai's time to now it being tops players and tops management, that it's not good enough. The board's not good enough. Rudkin, I don't think he's doing a good enough job. Along with Whelan, I think there's just a big lack of communication and direction between the club and supporters, and I don't think it's good enough.
Yeah, last few comments then. Dean Sanders, sorry, it kind of agrees with you. You said this before we even went live. You aren't excited for the season.
For the first time in my supporting Leicester career, obviously not as long as some others, probably been about 17, 18, 19 years now. I obviously in the memory I've got, I can't remember a starting season where I've just not been optimistic enough, where I don't think the players we have are good enough. You know, even when we came up from the Premier League in 13-14 that season, I was looking at the players and like, yeah, you know, let's see what we can do. We've not been in the Premier League for a while. The players did enough, and you know they had enough passion and heart. I don't see any passion from players like Daka, Sumari, Christiansen, on and on and on. I don't see it from these players. I just don't.
Yeah, Robert Edwards here says looks like Mavididi is going to be off striker for Monday night, Tottenham.
Yes.
Going to have a field day.
It's interesting you say that because we're going to move on to our Patreon content whilst we're here. We do Patreon where we talk about our tactics, talks, and loads of other exclusive content you can see on there. Blue Van Man interviews, ex-Leicester City player interviews, and obviously the big thing that we're doing this month is giving away a signed Harry Winks shirt, and we've got a few free members on there, but I would like to reiterate that anyone that's free is not entered into our competition. You do have to pay. As you do for most of these raffle things, you know, it's not just us, that is how it goes. £3 for 3 tickets, £6 for 6 tickets, and £10 for 10 tickets. Very straightforward. If you go for the £6 or £10 packet, you are going to get a bunch of extra content exclusively made by us for you. So it'd be greatly appreciated if you could do that. And if you wanted to just support us on the £3 packet, well, you are still going to be entered to pull up this nice shirt, which Reedy's going to pull up right now, get out of his way so he can pull it up. In person, signed Harry Winks shirt. Obviously, the lack of football, it might not be sparking us, but this is a lovely piece to have in your suite. I'm sure the missus would love you hanging that up right above the mantelpiece or something like that. But it would be greatly appreciated if you could go support us and be entered in to win the shirt.
Yep. Any more comments before we do finish?
Yeah, we'll read off a few. Let's scroll down and read a few.
Fox is here, says FaZe and Vestergaard up against Son, Solanke and Madison. This will be painful to watch. Hopefully not. I don't think Vestergaard will start. Again, as much as I'm a big fan of him, I don't think he will start against Spurs. I'm not going to bring that comment up, even though it's probably true. And says King Power out. I'm guessing that's because
scroll all the way down. I see some of the latest
ones.
ones.
Oh, hello. Another Javier.
Javier. I think it's the same one as last time.
Yeah.
So thank you, Javier.
Says I say we go all out to Santi Gimenez. His price tag is £40 million, but it will be bringing so many eyes. Mexican Americans would love to go out their way to buy the jersey. Hate to say it, we might get relegated. Again, I know who you're on about. I think he plays for Feyenoord, if I'm not mistaken. He's Mexican. Again, from what I've heard, he's quite a decent player, but for £40 million, I can't
Yeah.
see it at
No,
all.
I mean, it'd be nice to spend some of that money, but we'll see.
Terence says don't want to break the Derby record for 11 points. Again, I could see it. That's the problem. That is the biggest problem. I can see it. Colin Barnes says signed by Reedy. No, it's not signed by me. It's signed by Winks himself. And then we'll bring in those last coming up to end off. All the negativity against Board will be finished up destroying our club. All we need to do is pull together in the same direction. Otherwise, we'll be a fail. 2 minutes ago, we had the best owners in the world.
Yeah, well, 2 minutes ago, obviously, is in relation to about 5-6 years ago now, when Vichai did pass away. I think
we're not saying it's all down to them. It's just the whole club since that accident again really has fell down.
I think it shows Top's interest in the club. If you think he's interested in the club, I think you're wrong. I think you've got to look at the way the club's been ran in the past 3 years. Post COVID, I know we won the FA Cup in 2021, and that was really good to win the FA Cup for the first time ever. But since then, we've made, like Craig says, we've made so many mistakes behind the scenes. I think that comment sums it up. We're not the board. We're not the owners. We don't decide what happens in the back end.
We're literally going to the games to watch us play.
If you think it's being run well, I don't think it is, personally.
No. But appreciate everyone for coming in. Ian says here, blaming the passing of
We're not blaming the passing. No, you're reading that wrong, Ian. We're not blaming the passing.
We're not. We're saying since then. It's not gone. It's not gone in a good way.
Sorry, that is the wrong word to use on that.
And then Ivan, last comment of the day, says sell up King Power. Right, guys, appreciate you coming in. Again, make sure to check out our Patreon for all of our exclusive content and as well, like I said, the Winks competition that we're doing in August. Appreciate you coming in, and we'll catch you all on the next show. Cheers, guys. See you in a bit.